Welcome to the Pulse of Books, where knowledge comes alive. Here, we take you on an exciting journey through culture and science, uncovering insights that enrich our daily lives and make the journey of life more enjoyable. In every video, you will find an idea to inspire you, knowledge to empower you, and a story that helps you see life from a new perspective. If you're looking for both enjoyment and knowledge, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay connected with the Pulse of Books. The pulse of life and knowledge.
Okay, so imagine this. You wake up and there's that knot in your stomach, not just Monday morning blues, but this real sense of dread about work. Every day feels like you're just wading through something heavy, draining. It follows you home, right? Starts messing with your personal life. It's more than just a bad patch. So today, we're diving deep. We want to cut through that feeling and figure out what's really going on. We're exploring navigating the toxic workplace. And our main guide here is the HBR Guide to Navigating the Toxic Workplace. It's packed with insights, really tailored to help you understand and deal with these kinds of tough situations.
Exactly. And our mission really is to give you the tools, not just to spot these environments, but to understand how they work, their impact, and crucially, to give you practical ways to handle them. We've got some surprising facts, solid strategies from experts, all aimed at protecting your well-being, helping you thrive. Because you absolutely deserve that.
Right. So let's unpack that. How do you even tell the difference, especially maybe if you're newer to the workforce? Is it just an unfulfilling job or is it actually toxic?
That's such a key question. Because it's not always clear. A toxic environment isn't just, one jerky coworker or a bad incident. Experts talk about it as a pattern. Ongoing behaviors that are disrespectful, non-inclusive, unethical, cutthroat, and abusive. The real kicker is that feeling of being trapped. Like you can't escape it. That's very different from just not loving your tasks.
Okay, that makes sense. So if that's the definition, where do you start figuring it out for yourself? Do you look around you first or look inward?
I really think starting inward is key. You know Lao Tzu, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. So think about your career identity. What's your personality like at work? Your strengths? What do you actually value? What are you interested in? What does success even mean to you?
Career identity.
Okay. Yeah, ask yourself things like, which of my strengths fit this job or the job I want? What do I genuinely need from my workplace to feel good, to do good work? What stuff just absorbs me? And what's my definition of meaningful work? That helps you tell the difference between, say, being annoyed and feeling truly resentful or sad day after day.
That internal check sounds crucial. Okay, so once you've done that self-assessment, then how do you look at the workplace itself? What are the concrete red flags versus, signs things are actually okay?
Right. The sources give some clear examples.
Yeah.
Red flags might be thinking, I have zero say over my deadlines. Or maybe, wow, I've started using some unhealthy ways to cope with work stress.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe people close to you notice a change. Like, hey, you seem different lately. That's a big one.
Yeah.
On the flip side, a healthy place. You might find yourself thinking, man, time flies when I'm working. Or I actually feel appreciated here. You feel like you belong, you're achieving things, you have purpose, maybe even creativity, and you're learning. Big difference.
Huge difference. Okay, this is where it gets really serious, though. Why should you care so much about this distinction? Beyond just feeling bad day to day, what are the real stakes here?
The stakes are, well, they're alarmingly high. We're talking about real, measurable health impacts. Get this, 56% of American workers say their boss is toxic, mildly or highly. And 75%, 3/4, say their boss is the most stressful part of their day.
75%, that's staggering.
It is, and here's the really sobering statistic. A Swedish study found employees with toxic bosses were 60% more likely to have a heart attack, stroke, or some other life-threatening heart condition.
60%, wow.
Yeah, plus you see chronic stress, depression, anxiety, all things that weaken your immune system. This isn't just about job happiness. It's about your actual health and longevity.
Okay, that heart attack statistic really lands. It makes the stakes crystal clear. So let's shift gears then. We've identified the problem, the risks. What can you actually do, starting with maybe those toxic coworkers?
Right. And in today's workplaces, with all the matrix structures and cross-functional teams, a toxic coworker can cause even more damage. We see things like backstabbing, criticizing, blaming, gossiping, spreading rumors, purposely undermining people, and just caring about their own agenda over the team's.
Ugh, sounds exhausting.
Totally. And research shows the single most important factor in team success is the quality of relationships. It just takes one toxic team member to destroy a high-performing team. Think about it. Loyalist teams are apparently 2,000 times more effective than saboteur teams.
2,000 times. Okay, so if this person is a peer, not your direct report, what's the smart way to handle them? You can't just ignore it, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to get sucked in either.
Exactly. Fighting back on their terms often just fuels the fire. The sources suggest two main things. First, raise your own game and keep your ego in check. Basically, don't sink to their level. Be the example of how you want the team to act. Focus on the team goals.
Be the bigger person, essentially.
Kind of, yeah. Loyal teams are way more likely, like 35 times more likely, to visibly support each other's success. You shift the dynamic by not giving them the negative reaction they might be craving. And second, just as important, take care of yourself, your emotional health, your physical health. Focus on what you can control your reactions, setting boundaries, and try to let go of the rest.
Easier said than done sometimes, but crucial.
Absolutely. And if things really don't improve despite your efforts, then maybe it's time to talk to HR or a mentor you trust.
Okay. Now let's move up the ladder. What if the toxicity is coming from your manager? That feels way harder because of the power imbalance.
It is harder, definitely.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's super common. Like, about half of employees have actually quit a job specifically to get away from their manager.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And people stay for complex reasons. Sometimes it's just emotional exhaustion. They don't even have the energy to look for something else. Or loss aversion kicks in. You don't want to give up your salary, your status, benefits,
Sure, the devil you know.
Right. Or sometimes the work itself feels really meaningful, and that keeps people stuck, even with a terrible boss.
So if leaving isn't an option right now, what can you do? How do you mitigate the damage day to day?
It's about being strategic. First tip. Forget giving them feedback. That rarely works with a toxic boss. Instead, make specific requests.
Specific requests? How does that work?
Frame it in terms of how it benefits them or the company. Like, if we adjust the deadline on X, I can dedicate more focus to Y, which will help us hit our team target. It shifts from complaint to solution.
Ah, clever.
Second, lean hard on your support network. Friends, family, maybe a coach or therapist. You need that outside perspective and support. And, basic but vital, get plenty of exercise and sleep. Protect your physical and mental health. Keep telling yourself, this isn't about me. I am not the problem.
Right, fortify yourself.
Exactly. You can also quietly look for opportunities elsewhere in the company. And if you think about HR, tread carefully. Maybe check out their reputation first. Are they known for helping or just protecting the company?
Good point. Okay, one specific type of toxic boss, the micromanager, drives people absolutely nuts. How do you handle that constant checking in, the scrutiny?
Yeah, micromanagers. The key thing to remember here is it's usually more about their internal anxiety and need to control things than anything about you.
Ah, so it's not personal. Mostly.
Often not, no. It's their coping mechanism. And here's the tricky part. Pushing back directly often makes it worse. They double down.
Oh, great. So what do you do?
Tactics include actively working to increase trust, deliver consistently, reliably, in ways that actually lower their stress level. Also try to make up for agreements before a project starts. Agree on the standards, the overall approach, the guiding principles, rather than getting lost in tiny details later.
Proactive communication.
Exactly. And crucially, keep your boss in the loop. Over-communicate almost. Send regular specific updates. Even if they haven't asked, it can preempt their anxiety. There's this case study, Harry, who sent his micromanager daily updates. It eased the boss's anxiety, which was good, but...
Let me guess, it created a ton more work for Harry.
Bingo. It helped the situation short-term, but the extra workload was unsustainable, and he eventually left. So it's a tactic, but maybe not a long-term fix.
Right, a balancing act. Okay, speaking of subtle manipulations, gaslighting. This one feels particularly damaging because it makes you doubt your own reality.
Oh, gaslighting is incredibly insidious. It's described as a particularly nefarious form of toxicity because it's so often subtle, covert, and hard to prove. The whole goal is to manipulate and control you by making you question what you know, what you experienced, your own competence, your self-worth.
How does it manifest? Like, what does it actually look like?
It can be outright lying, denying things they definitely said or did, shifting blame onto your projection. They might sow confusion, make contradictory statements, or constantly imply you're incompetent or overreacting. It's designed to erode your confidence.
Ugh. So how on earth do you fight something like that, especially if it's subtle enough not to break official rules? It feels like shadowboxing.
Documentation is your absolute best friend here. Document your interactions. Keep detailed notes, dates, times, what was said, who else was there if possible. Use email to follow up on verbal conversations. Just confirming our chat earlier, that creates a paper trail.
Smart.
And crucially, keep your records at home, not on work computers or drives. Personal copies.
Got it. Keep it off their systems.
Exactly. Protect your mental health, too. Try to create some emotional distance. Visualize a protective shield, maybe. Remind yourself constantly they're the one with the problem, not you. Lean on that support network again. Minimize direct contact if possible. Build alliances with other leaders who might see what's happening.
What about confronting them or going to HR?
You have to be really careful there. Extreme caution is the advice. Gaslighting is often linked with things like narcissistic personality traits, meaning the person might be incapable of seeing their behavior as wrong. Confrontation could easily backfire.
So it could make things worse.
Potentially, yeah. Instead of direct confrontation, focus again on those specific requests, framed purely as business needs. To ensure Project X stays on track, I need clarity on why. Keep it professional, keep it business-focused.
That makes sense. Okay, we've talked a lot about individuals, coworkers, bosses, but what happens when it's not just one person, but the whole place? When the entire culture feels toxic? That's a much bigger beast.
It really is. Organizational culture is this incredibly powerful force. It shapes how people think and behave, sometimes even more than their personal values. Our sources point to 3 big signs of an unhealthy culture. One is pressure to cover, where you feel like you have to hide parts of who you are, your identity, just to fit in. That's incredibly damaging.
Yeah, I can see that.
Second is a fear of making mistakes. If people are terrified to mess up, it just kills innovation, leads to bad decisions, and hurts the bottom line. And third, this pervasive pressure to overwork. It's become so normalized in some places, but it just leads to this burnout cycle, unhappiness, less creativity, lower productivity. It's counterproductive.
Okay, 2 specific types of toxic cultures mentioned really stood out. First, the blame culture. What's the deal with that? Why is it so bad?
Blame hits us hard, psychologically.
Wow.
Our brains are actually wired to react more strongly to bad experiences than good ones. You need like 5 good things to outweigh 1 bad thing.
Oh, why 5 to 1?
Yeah. So when you're blamed, your brain basically treats it like a physical attack. Your thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, shuts down, and all your energy goes into self-defense. It completely kills healthy, accountable behaviors. People stop taking risks, stop owning up to things.
But how do you combat that if you're in it?
Focus on what you can change. Shift the focus from who to what. Take a systems approach. Instead of whose fault is this, Urquhart asks, where did the process break down? Like the example of the deleted survey template. Instead of firing someone, they figured out they needed a better safety protocol in the system.
Fix the process, not just punish the person.
Exactly. And maybe even ask yourself, how might I have contributed to this situation? It encourages collective responsibility.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the other one that was surprising, the nice culture. What could possibly be wrong with being nice at work? Isn't that good?
It sounds good, right?
Hey.
But a nice culture can actually be quite dangerous. It's often described as this veneer of civility over a thick layer of fear.
Fear. Why fear in a nice place?
Because in truly nice cultures, difficult conversations are avoided, conflict is suppressed. People don't speak up about real problems because it's not nice. This can lead to what's called crisis activation, where huge problems fester under the surface until they explode.
Like the example you mentioned, USC.
Exactly, University of Southern California. It took them over 25 years to really deal with the sexual abuse claims against that Dr. George Tyndall. It ended in a massive $1.1 billion settlement. That niceness allowed something horrific to continue for decades.
Chilling. So niceness prevented accountability.
Pretty much. Other downsides are choked innovation, because no one challenges ideas and bleeding talent. Apparently, A players often prefer an openly tough culture to a nice one where problems never get fixed. They rather know where they stand.
Interesting. So how do leaders fix a nice but toxic culture?
They have to be really brave. They need to clarify expectations and performance standards, demand honesty in meetings. They have to publicly challenge the status quo, even the one they helped create. Provide air cover for candor, meaning protect people who speak up. And crucially, confront performance problems directly and immediately. No more avoiding.
Wow, that requires real leadership backbone.
Right.
Okay, this all sounds overwhelming for one person, especially systemic stuff,
Yep.
who usually ends up bearing the worst of these toxic cultures.
Unfortunately, the burden often falls disproportionately on women of color. There's a story about Malia, a senior leader, high performer. She was bullied and gaslighted by a white male colleague. She reported him, but her performance ratings went down, and they told her she needed to learn to get along.
Oh, come on, seriously.
Yeah. She left, understandably. And this isn't rare. These toxic rock stars, people who perform well but behave terribly, cost U.S. companies nearly $50 billion a year.
$50 billion?
Yep. And they were the single biggest predictor of people quitting during the Great Resignation. Research shows women of color are less likely to feel supported by managers, and 70% feel they constantly have to prove themselves over and over.
That's deeply unfair. So what should leaders be doing to stop rewarding these toxic people and build a genuinely inclusive culture?
Okay, key actions for leaders. First, establish a no-tolerance policy for bad behavior. Performance isn't an excuse, period. Second, look honestly at your culture. Use surveys, focus groups, maybe get outside help. Because remember, HR's main job is often to protect the company.
Good point. Need objective eyes.
Third, establish a better feedback process. Include anonymous options like specific platforms mentioned, all voices, or face up. Make it safe to report issues. Fourth, infuse your values into everything. Hiring, promotions, performance reviews, make sure your stated values actually match reality.
Walk the talk.
Exactly. And finally, maybe the most important, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Fight that bystander effect. The sources specifically mention that men have a critical role in disrupting their male colleagues' toxic behavior. Everyone needs to step up.
Right. It takes collective effort. Okay, even with modern setups like hybrid work, this stuff still finds a way in, right? It's not just an office problem.
Definitely not. Hybrid work actually has its own unique ways of fostering toxicity. When you're remote, you have reduced social cues. People might feel less inhibited, say things online they wouldn't say in person, more disrespect, maybe abuse.
Ah, the keyboard warrior effect.
Kind of, yeah. Plus, hybridity is fundamentally imbalanced. People in the office often get more face time, more resources, maybe faster promotions. Remote workers can end up feeling consistently excluded. Imagine a manager whose team splits based on who comes in which days. That naturally creates divides.
Yeah, I can see that happening easily.
So leaders really need to educate everyone about these dynamics. Lay a foundation of empathy, psychological safety, have ongoing conversations about how it's working, and intervene quickly when problems pop up. Remember that Google study? Psychological safety, just the basic belief that you won't be punished when you make a mistake, is fundamental.
Absolutely crucial. Okay, expert, let's say you've done it all. You've tried the tactics. You've maybe even tried to advocate for change, but the place is still toxic. How do you really know it's time to just leave?
Yeah, that's the big decision point. The sources give 5 surefire signs that it's time to quit your job. 1, the environment is just unfixably toxic. You've tried, it's not changing. 2, your core values are constantly being violated. Like that boss interrupting family dinner, that's a clear boundary cross for work-life balance.
Right, non-negotiables.
Exactly. 3, your skills aren't being used or developed. You're stagnating. 4, you're not getting opportunities to be visible, making it hard to grow your career or personal brand. And 5, you just feel constantly drained, low energy, burned out. There are some great questions from Monique Falcourt to assess this, like, does this job let me be the best version of myself? Or simply, what is this burnout actually costing me?
That's a powerful question.
Isn't it? And sometimes friends or family see it clearer than you do. They might offer that outside perspective. Okay, so you make the tough call. You decide to leave. How do you do it professionally? You don't want to burn bridges.
Definitely not. Keep it professional. Practical tips include: line up your next move before you resign, if possible. Give proper notice, usually 2 weeks is standard. Write a simple professional resignation letter. No need for drama.
Keep it brief and to the point.
Exactly. Offer to help with the transition. Maybe create a transition timeline. Also, be prepared to go early. Have your personal stuff sorted, contacts backed up just in case they ask you to leave immediately. Oh, right. That can happen.
It can. And critically, do not badmouth your boss or the company. Not in exit interviews, not in future job interviews, not on social media. Stay classy.
Good advice. Now, here's something really interesting you touched on: recovering after leaving. It's not like flipping a switch, is it? That experience can stick with you.
Oh, absolutely not. Leaving doesn't magically fix the damage. Workplace trauma is a real and under-discussed issue. Recovery can take a long time, potentially up to 22 months.
22 months. Wow.
Yeah. Some mental health pros even compare it to PTSD or battered spouse syndrome. That sounds extreme, but it highlights the deep psychological impact these places can have on your sense of safety, trust, and self-worth.
So how do you actually heal from that? How do you move forward and make sure you don't carry that baggage into your next, hopefully healthier role?
It's an active healing process. First, you need to find closure. Our brains hate loose ends, right? They want answers. So address that resentment, that rumination. Maybe do a releasing ritual. Write a letter you don't send. Ritually delete old files, shred documents. Allow yourself to actually grieve the loss of the job you hoped it would be, maybe.
Acknowledge the hurt.
Yes. Second, take control of what you can. Fight self-blame with self-compassion. Channel that energy into positive action. Maybe work on assertiveness skills. Plan how you'll communicate boundaries clearly in your new job using what you learned.
Turn the bad experience into learning.
Exactly. Third, plan for triggers. Yeah. Know what might set off those old stress reactions. Maybe a certain tone of voice, a one-on-one meeting. Have coping strategies ready, like deep breaths, or consciously observing your thoughts without judgment. Judge the new situation on its own merits.
Don't project the past.
Right. And finally, actively savor the positive moments. Our brains naturally scan for threats after trauma. You need to consciously rewire that.
Yeah.
Techniques like positive reminiscence, writing down 3 good things each day, sharing positive experiences, congratulating yourself for small wins, even positive imagination, visualizing good outcomes. It helps retrain your brain.
That sounds really powerful, consciously focusing on the good.
It is.
Yeah.
And throughout all this, prioritize self-care. Be patient with yourself. And eventually, when you feel safe and trust is established in a new place, open up to trusted colleagues or mentors there.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly thorough. We've gone from spotting toxicity in ourselves and others to dealing with difficult people, understanding toxic cultures, and finally that crucial journey of leaving and healing.
It's a lot, but the core message is you deserve to feel valued, seen, and heard at work. Navigating toxicity is tough, no doubt about it, but you do have agency. Self-compassion and taking strategic steps are really powerful tools.
So wrapping up, what's the big takeaway for our listeners navigating their careers, whether they're in a tough spot now or just want to build resilience for the future?
Maybe reflect on this quote from Toni Morrison. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. Choosing to leave a toxic place is empowering yourself, your future self. But beyond that, think about how you can use any influence you have, big or small, to foster better environments. Cultivating humility, empathy, those are the real antidotes to the kind of power dynamics that fuel toxicity. How can your actions help make workplaces healthier, more inclusive, not just for you, but for everyone?